Hey guys, so I'm back with the Framer tutorial where we were creating this design that you see in front of you, which is a Figma design into Framer. So the previous video that you can obviously check out in the playlist itself created something like this. It converted the design using the Figma plugin to something like this, and now we've already created some of the color variables. We haven't created the text styles or anything along those lines. So for now, for starters, what we're going to be doing is linking all of the color styles first of all, and obviously making any slight changes that we have to make to the template itself to make it more like a template. Because as an example, like if I just have to have a look at this, so here's an icon that's used, and this icon is coming directly from Figma as a shape. Now if someone does not have a banking website, it has, or maybe a fintech website or an application, they have some other type of application, we want this particular template to be suitable for them as well, right? We just don't want this template to only work for fintech applications. So something like this probably wouldn't work, because where are they exactly going to go and find this or icon similar to this? So what we're going to be doing here is I'm going to press I and I'm going to be importing phosphor icons. So phosphor icons are just a great and amazing library that Framer actually has, which you can just use directly. So I can say money and it's going to give me the money symbol. I can say dollar, it's going to give me the dollar symbol. If I want it to be solid, I can have that as well. I can basically make it duotone as well. I can make it, why do I have this icon? So dollar icon, that's fine. And then I can make it a fill as well. And we can now link it easily to our primary color, and we can delete the previous one. So let's just go ahead and delete that and just place it here. So obviously, as you can see, some sizing a bit may be different. So let's just make it 50 by 50. So I think that's fine, and let's just go ahead and reposition it a bit. Well, so it's somewhere here, let's say. Okay, one other thing that I don't really like about this is how I can see the line behind it, but I mean, we can worry about that later if we really want to. Okay, so we have something like this, and one other thing that I actually just want to do is if I'm, let's say, dragging this, like it's somehow going behind these circles, these graphics that I actually have behind. So I'm going to select all of these ellipses, like these are the multiple shapes BG. So I'm just going to give it that, and I'm going to lock it. So anytime basically I'm dragging something, it doesn't go behind the other elements. So here we have another icon. I think that's like a coin or something. And let me just do one thing. So what we're going to be doing here is I'm going to be opening Brave, and I'm going to just go to a new window. I'm going to open a new window. I'm going to go to Phosphor Icons. And we're going to keep this open just in case we need to find any icon. Explore icons, and we're going to search for a coin. So here are a bunch of coin icons. I think this is just a coin icon. So let's just go ahead and search for coin. And here we go. Here's the coin icon, and we can make this one black. So let's just go ahead and make that black. There you go. We have another coin icon on the right. Let's just make that blue. And you can see there are subtle differences, but I mean, we don't have to be so precise. If it's like, again, something similar, it's perfectly okay. Let's just make that primary. And we can also just use a different icon. We can just use something like a piggyback or a currency minus BTC. Let's just use the currency minus BTC. Currency, BTC. Let's just use this one for this. And I'm not sure. Yeah, the difference is obviously we're seeing a solid icon there, and it wasn't really a solid icon in the other instance. So we have a yen here. So let's just go ahead and copy this as well here and make this a yen. Yin yang. Okay, yen. Do we have anything like a yen? Let's see. Currency minus JPY. Okay. So currency minus, and we can obviously have any of the other currencies as well. Maybe we can have euro. I think that's a bit more recognizable. So let's just keep it at euro. Okay, so once we're done with that, let's just go ahead and actually do a few other things. So the first thing that I'm actually seeing here is if we, let's just say, go to the background. So why is this not linked? Okay, it's not linked for some reason. This is linked. Obviously, this particular whole background behind is not linked. So let's just go ahead and link that to the background. And now obviously the dark and light would work. One thing that I think is a bit problematic is that we have these circles in the back, right? So we have these circles, but unfortunately, they're not really that visible. Even on the light mode, I feel like they're not visible. So what we're going to do is we're going to select all of these circles. Let's just go ahead and select the circles. Let's make all of them black. So now all of these should be black. And actually, can we even I feel like, oh, sorry, I made the fill black. I don't need to make the fill black. I need to make the border black. So now all the borders are black, and I think that's fine. But I still feel like we can see them. So we're going to go to the circles. Sorry, we're going to go to the shapes BG, and we're going to convert the opacity to 0.04. And now we can see it. And I think we would be able to see it in the dark mode as well. And now it looks a bit better. Okay, that's fine. Now let's just go ahead and change all of the text that we need in black. So we need this to be in black as well. Actually, it's using the gray color or something along those lines. Should the border work? No. I think maybe we should create a gray color as well. So let's see what we're doing here in Figma, if we're doing anything. So here we have Figma. We are doing, actually we've not selected a color. So we can, I guess, keep it the way it is, because maybe that color works for both light and dark. I just don't like it. I cannot live with myself not having this link to a color just in case someone wants to change it. So we're going to go to our assets. We're going to go to our colors. I'm going to say I want to create a color style, and then I'm going to go ahead and say this is going to be gray, and we're going to say this is going to be #888. Now, if you want to change that in the dark mode a bit later, we can go ahead and do that. But for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just press Shift, and I'm going to select all of the things that are gray here in this particular. So here we have both of these gray. I'm just going to go ahead and select gray. And sorry, the gray actually needs to be a bit closer to the black, so I can actually easily select it. I think this is gray now. This needs to be black. This needs to be black. So let's just go ahead and make that black. This whole thing needs to be white. So let's just make that white. And this obviously very similarly needs to be white. And unfortunately, this is a bit, I have basically locked most of these things, so I need to unlock them in order to select them. So this, and I guess like all of these things here need to be gray as well. Like maybe, I'm not even sure if gray is going to look a bit too much. Yeah, it's looking a bit too much. Border, I think border is looking really nice in this case. Let's just make that border. And let's go to this particular color that we have here and link that to black. And let's see how all of this looks. So this is looking really fine. We just need to go ahead and update that to black as well. Okay, now I think this is okay. Okay, so the intro section is done. Let's go to this particular section. Let's just give this a section BG. So section BG, basically, I could have given that white as well, but if we gave that white, it would blend in with the background that's behind, which is why I have created a separate variable called section BG. This one is going to be our background. And this text is obviously going to be black. Now coming to these things. So as you can see, when you're exporting or importing, let's say something from Figma as a vector, it basically gets converted into a vector and it's like joined here. So you need to double click it multiple times to actually change the colors or anything along those lines. So here similarly as well, as you can see, I need to double click multiple times to change that to black. Here's Slack as well. As you can see, a bunch of things are linked in Slack. So I'm going to go to my, and actually I've done this. I've basically linked all of these things. I've made a union selection here. So I'm going to run the plugin again, and I have a shortcut to run the plugin, which is why I'm just doing that by pressing that shortcut. I'm going to paste it here. I'm going to delete all of these different vectors. I'm going to center it, and then I can basically just double click it and go to black. Similarly, I think I can do the same with Dropbox as well. I'm going to delete it. Delete. Actually, even before deleting, I'm just going to select this. I'm going to run the plugin. It's copied it. I'm going to paste it. I'm going to delete both of these other vectors. I'm going to center it, double click it to obviously select the union and change that to black. So obviously we have it linked. Webflow, very similarly, double click here and then black. Same goes with zoom. Now, as you can see, some of the shape selections are not working. So these are the circles that are basically being excluded. So I'm going to join them and I'm going to combine both of these things and I'm going to subtract them. So now I can just change that to black and that's going to work as well. So everything's going to be linked. Now, A lot of you may be confused as to the details that I'm going through, but you can actually pause the video and understand what's going on. A lot of people, when they're creating these YouTube videos, they want to make it extremely simple. They just want to talk about all of the positive cases and not really talk about the complicated things or the problems that occur when you're converting these templates, but I don't really want to do that. So it may be a bit of effort to actually follow everything and for me to keep this video short. And I'm not sure if you're going to mind, but for those that are actually looking at getting something valuable out of this and actually learning how to convert something really well, these are things that you just have to learn. Okay, so again, I'm going to convert everything that's black into black. So I'm going to select all of the things that are in black. I think these should be it. I'm going to go to the color and I'm going to change that to black. Okay, that's done. Select these, change that to primary. This gray text obviously needs to be gray. This green, I think the green can remain green, and let's just convert that into, okay, I cannot see this, so let's just go ahead and change that to, I don't know, the background, maybe. Okay, that's, I guess, fine. The background is a bit dimmed, but never mind. I'm just gonna ignore that particular thing. Otherwise, if I basically keep on doing this for every single section, it's gonna be a bit too much. Let's select the color here. Let's change that to black as well. And then we have a bunch of these things, basically. So first of all, I'm just gonna select every single one, apart from obviously the blue one. So I'm gonna say this is going to be our blue, and I'm gonna select all of these, and I'm gonna convert the background into white, obviously, and I'm gonna select all of the children. So in order to select all children, I can basically just press Command Option A. It's a slightly harder shortcut than Figma, which just is press like Shift, it's just like press Enter or something along those lines. But we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna convert that all to black. Similarly, we're gonna first of all just rename the blue. So this is our blue, so we don't have to select it. And we're gonna select all of these white ones, and we're gonna convert that to white, obviously. And we're gonna select all of the children again, and we're gonna convert that into black. So let's make that black. And then we're going to select the blue ones here. So here's the blue and here's the blue, and convert that into primary, obviously. And then we need to go ahead and select both of these to white. So let's just change that to white here and then white here. Okay, so we should be done with this particular section. Let's just see if it works well on the dark mode. It does. So let's go to some of the other sections. So here we have our cards. So again, I'm going to select both of these. I'm going to change that to black. I'm going to select this particular text. I'm going to change that to black as well. And then we have these other elements here. So I can basically just press, first of all, I can press Shift Enter. So what is this frame? I don't think this is, okay, this is a checkbox basically. So the checkbox, the border needs to be CCC. So we're going to just convert that to a border. And then we're going to select all of these text elements here and convert that to black, since those are black. And I think this can actually be a component in itself. So let's just create that into a component. So and maybe we actually need to make that editable in the future, but I don't think we really need to do that in this particular exercise. So we're going to convert that into a price tag, I guess, price tag button, I don't know. Maybe something like that is probably okay. So let's convert that, and I think that's fine. So let's just go ahead, and this is converted. So let's just duplicate it. The price here is going to be monthly. And then we're going to say discounts, I guess. And let's just delete both of these. The benefit of obviously converting things into a component is you would be able to use them later on. Here as well, as we can see, we have them being used. So we're going to select the container, we're going to paste them. So first we have the monthly and the discounts. I guess like that's going to remain, the monthly and the discounts is going to remain, but this just needs to be converted into 25,000. So we're going to remove that. And I guess like this particular element here, we need to create another variant here. So this variant is going to be primary. This one can be default. This primary one just needs to not have a border and just needs to be primary, obviously. And the text here needs to be white. So let's just convert that to white really quickly. Here, I think this is already linked. This needs to be black. This one needs to be white with a border. So let's just change that to border. Okay, this should be done. So we can just go ahead and change that to primary here. Okay, so again, let's just basically select all of these. Actually, let's just select the whole container and replace it here. So basically just place it, move it here, and then go here. And I even forgot, like, okay, so the limit was 1000 here, 10,000. So let's just make that 10,000. Okay, that's done. Obviously, we can go ahead and just... Actually, we can convert this checkbox as well into a component. So let's just go ahead and do that. Where this is going to be our checkbox. We're going to copy it. We're going to go here. This is already used. So let's just go ahead here and we can replace it. So as you can see, if you want to replace certain things, you can actually just go here and you can say, I want to replace this particular thing with a checkbox, and now it's going to be replaced. So you don't have to actually manually do all of those things. Unfortunately, it does not have a shortcut like Command Shift R or something. So that's unfortunate, I guess. But as we know, as I've already mentioned countless times, Framer is severely limited. Okay, and I think this could have been a checkbox as well. So let's just go ahead and rename this with, or replace this with a checkbox as well. So I'm going to say this is going to be a checkbox as well. But now we're just going to go to our checkbox and we're going to bake another variant. So this is going to be a primary checkbox. And in this primary checkbox, maybe the border is, I even forgot what this checkbox looked like. So let me just have a look at it. So it's a primary checkbox. So let's just give this a primary border, and maybe the background here needs to be something like primary 20%, 10%. I think 10% is fine. So let's go here and change the variant to primary. Okay, that's done. And we can obviously make it interactable as well if we want to. I guess we can just right now go ahead and make it interactive. But first, I think I need to handle a few other things. So as we can see, this particular section is not changing its background, and the reason for that is obviously since we haven't given it a section background. So there you go. Okay, now this looks much better. This needs to obviously be black as well. Is this black? Yep, that's black. Okay, this looks fine. Actually, the border doesn't look fine, this border. So we're gonna fix that, but okay, this particular background, let's just give it at that, and let's go to this particular component itself and see what the border is. So the border is border, but why is it so prominent here? Did we not actually mess with the border, I guess? Yeah, I guess we did not. So let's just go ahead and make it a bit light. Something like this would probably make sense. Okay, I think that's fine. So, and why is this not converted? So let's change that to black. Okay, that's good. So let's go back to our layers. I think this whole section looks really fine. And now let's come to this section. So apologies, I actually had to leave. So coming back to this video on this section, we're obviously just going to go ahead and convert that. And one thing that we can actually do is, I mean, we're spending a lot of time like just converting, especially like, again, some of the sections and some of the dark colors and all of that stuff. So just select all of them and select black. I guess like this one wasn't black. This one was like gray or something. And that's the mistake that usually happens when you select a bunch of things, especially if they're not on screen. You may actually not notice some of the changes that are happening that may not be expected. Okay, so now let's coming to this particular section. I guess if you're, let's say, what is the difference in between these two things? I guess like the only major difference that I can see here is the sizing change. And we don't necessarily want to just go ahead and actually do something completely separate, right, for this. And it's using the font awesome icon. We obviously don't have the font awesome icon here. We can use it if we want to import it. So one thing that I'm just going to do is I'm going to make this a component, and let's just go ahead and actually do that first of all. So without even doing anything, I'm just going to select the layer on top. I'm going to say this is going to be our component, testimonial box. Okay, so here we have the testimonial box. Actually, did we create the right? Actually, we should have converted this one to the testimonial box because this one has the shadow. So I'm just going to press Command Z. And we're going to select this one and we're going to say testimonial box. So this is a mistake that my designer did, and I want others to be aware of this as well. you don't just like group frames within or auto layouts within auto layout. Like there's no particular reason for you to do that, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to see if there's a difference in between both of these auto layouts, which there isn't. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to remove this one. So I'm going to remove it, and as you can see, it still looks pretty much exactly the same. There has been no change. And that basically proves the point that there's no reason for us to have so many auto layouts wrapping them all. So testimonial box, and then convert it into a component. There we go. Convert this whole thing into white. And we're going to convert this into gray. We're going to convert this text and this text and this text into black. Do we have a line or a border here? So let's just see where the border is, and we're going to convert this border into just a border. I think that's fine because we're using the border. I know we were using opacity in that particular case. And then we're going to insert the phosphor icon here. So let's just insert a phosphor icon. Let's search for a star. Here we have a star. Let's convert that into the same color as this color and convert that into a fill. So here we have the star. Let's just increase the size of the star, obviously, to something like, I don't know, 32 or maybe even 30, I guess, 28. I guess 28 is fine. And then delete this star. And this looks fine. Let's just center align this and make sure this is also center aligned, which it is. So I think this looks good. So this is our default state, and we need like a slightly enlarged state. Like I'm not sure if we need an enlarged state, but we're going to figure that out later. So we're going to have just 3 testimonial boxes, and I'm going to delete everything. And we're going to be linking this to the actual carousel as well. But for now, we're not going to do that, or ticker or something along those lines. We're not going to do that. We're going to build the interactions and all of that stuff a bit later in the next video. Otherwise, this video is just going to keep on spanning. So questions, I think that's also linked. Actually, that isn't linked. So let's just link that to black. Let's link this particular thing to gray. Let's link this whole thing to the background. Let's link this white section into the section BG. And then we have this particular thing. Now, as you can see, these elements, these feature text elements, which I think are coming from something like Untitled UI. And why are these cropping, first of all? So this is a path. And why is this a path, first of all? We can obviously fix it just by, first of all, giving it a radius and then going here and then giving this a radius as well. But unfortunately, since this is a path, I cannot give this a radius. So I'm just going to draw a circle here. So I'm going to draw a circle. I'm going to make sure that it's the same size as this path. So this path is 48 by 48. So this needs to be 48 by 48 as well. Let's just go ahead and delete this. A bunch of weird stuff is happening, honestly. A lot of weird stuff is happening. I'm just going to like ungroup everything. Here we have the icon. I'm just going to bring this. I don't even know what's going on. So sometimes like things get messed up like this, and we just need to fix them ourselves. So I'm going to fix this ourselves. We're going to basically just go ahead and see what the size is. This is 56. So I'm just going to draw a frame. So drawing a frame is just like Command Enter. Then I'm going to press another Command Enter, and then I'm going to insert the phosphor icon here. I think that this icon needs to be like info or something. So info, something like this. And then we have this particular thing. We're going to just go ahead and reduce the size to 40. The height can also be 40, and it needs to be centered. So I'm going to press escape and center this. This also should be centered. This particular color can be something like the 10%, I guess. And then we have a color in the back. This can also be maybe 10%. Something like this. Let's just give this a border radius. Let's give this a border radius. And I think let's just give this primary, and here we have it. So unfortunately, everything was messed up, but now we actually manually went ahead and fixed this. But sometimes like things like this may happen. You may actually have to go ahead and fix things yourself. So don't be scared of that. So now that we've done that, we can just go ahead and create a component out of this. We can say this is going to be a feature text box. Actually, this isn't a feature text box. This is like more of a FAQ, right? So actually we should change that. And we can change that as well. But for now, I'm just gonna keep it at that. We're just going to duplicate it. We're going to edit the component, and I can select this. Basically, I can say that this is going to be a title. So we're going to create a title. This is not going to be a text area. So we're going to go here and we're going to say that this is also going to be plain text maybe, and just this is going to be like, again, answer or something, I guess. And let's go now and see how it looks like. Now, as you can see, I can easily go ahead and change that. So I'm just going to speed up this video a bit, because I mean, it's going to take a bit of time for me to just go ahead and update all of the text. And one other thing that I'm doing is I'm not placing all of these elements in separate rows. I'm actually just using a grid now. So just so I can use the same element. Okay, so now let's go ahead and actually convert that into light and dark, and that is looking perfectly fine. Let's see if this particular section is looking fine. It's not, so let's just convert that into white. Let's convert this into black, so that's already black. That's fine. I think this should actually work fine. This is looking fine for the most part. This whole page is looking fine. I think we've done it. And now we just need to convert this, obviously. So I'm just going to go ahead. And one thing that I actually have to do is, so if we go to the header, I haven't converted this into an auto layout, a component, which I think we should have, because if someone wants to just go ahead and update the component, they should be able to do so just by going to the same place, rather than changing it on the header or the footer or something along those lines. So we're going to go again and we're going to replace it with the logo that we have here. And similarly, we're going to replace all of these links with the links that we have in the header. Actually, I can just copy the links in the header. There you go. Let's just copy that links container. Let's go here. And I am going to basically delete this, and I'm going to paste this here. And I'm going to move this in the center. Okay, so we're done with this, I think, footer as well. Let's just convert that. If we want to change that, we can easily just go ahead and change that using the footer component itself. Let's just give this a background here on the component. I think, okay, it's not linked. So this is going to be white, I think. It can also be section BG. I'm not 100% sure. Actually, I think it should be white. And then, yeah, I think let's just convert that into light and dark. This is looking fine. Let's go to the home page. This is looking fine as well. And I think this whole section this whole page is done. So what we're going to do in the next video is we're going to build out the animations and interactions and make sure everything is actually right where we want it in this page, and everything's like flowing really well and all of that stuff. So definitely stay tuned for that. I think that's going to be perhaps one of the most interesting parts to bring magic into this layout. So I'm going to see you there, and we may be building some other interactions, like obviously making this checkbox more functional and all of that stuff. So stay tuned, do subscribe, do hit the bell icon, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.